Yo, what's going on, guys? My name is Alberto Mendoza. I am a full-time freelance videographer here in San Diego, California. I kind of woke up this morning feeling a little creative and wanted to create kind of a sit down and talk to the camera style video. So here I am. If I like the way it comes out, I might do more in the future. But if you guys like it, be sure to let me know. Today I want to talk about my top 10 purchases that I made when it comes to camera gear in 2020. So in no particular order, I want to go straight into it. So one of my favorite purchases this year, for sure, I'd say is probably top 2, is my Sony a7 III camera. I got this, I'd say, in either January or February. I just love this camera a lot, man. It's the perfect hybrid camera when it comes to photography stills and video. It has beautiful full frame 4K, which is butter, 4K 30 as well, 1080 60, 1080 120 for that slow motion. It's just a great camera, man. I can't really complain about it. I know all the hype right now in 2020 is the A7S III. It's a little out of the price range for most people. I do plan on getting that camera eventually, just not right now because I just don't find the need to getting it. I'm not the type that just buys gear just to get it because it's out. I have to like really justify getting certain piece of gear. So this camera was definitely an upgrade for me. Right now I'm currently shooting with my Sony a6300, which is my B camera, which I use a lot for like for the interview style content for like the side angles and whatnot. I love the camera still, it's still great, but it was time for me to get a full frame. I was getting bigger budget clients, so I needed to upgrade that quality. So yeah, I do love this camera a lot. It's really great. And another favorite purchase for 2020 was the Tamron 28-75 that's attached to the A7 III right now. This is a great overall zoom lens at 28 millimeters. It's wide enough to get certain kind of shots that you need, especially for photography. It's really great for photography. You go from 28 to 75. And if you really wanted to punch in, you could go to crop mode. I mean, you'll lose resolution, but you can't even tell, especially if you're uploading for Instagram. But this is a really great travel lens for sure. I use this a lot. I just started using this. I actually started using this a lot more recently, especially for the handheld look. I can see myself using this lens for weddings. I still haven't even used any of this gear for weddings because all my 2020 weddings got pushed for 2021. I'm sure you know the reason for that. But this is a beautiful lens. It's a great sharp lens and it's very affordable. You can see the reviews in YouTube compared to the G Master 24 to 75, 2.8. I failed to mention this is a 2.8 lens, so it gets really creamy shallow depth of field. And for those that don't know, shallow depth of field is pretty much the background blur. So this one's beautiful, and Tamron makes great lenses. And another purchase that I made, I actually got this before the 28-75, is the Tamron 17-28. This is a beautiful lens, especially for gimbal, since it's an internal zoom. I use this a lot for real estate because I do a lot of real estate related content. So when I do shoot interior stuff at 17 millimeters, it's wide enough for me. It's like, it gets the job done. Nobody can even recognize it. I know most people like to go for like a 16 mil or something like that. For like the Sony 16-35 f4, a little pricey. This is really good. It's also a 2.8 lens, so you get that creamy bokeh, which is a background blur. And the internal zoom is really great too as well. It's perfect for, like I said, the gimbal, so it doesn't make the gimbal lose balance. And this lens, I don't really use it for photography because it gets a little crazy distortion. But if I do use it, I go at 24 millimeters, a sweet spot. But most of the time I'm using a prime lens for photography if I do photography. But yeah, the Tamron 17-28 is also a great purchase of mine. Another lens that I purchased in 2020, it's probably my favorite lens that I own, is going to be the Zeiss 55 millimeter 1.8. This one's for sure my favorite lens that I own. It's just so butter. And what I mean by that is it's probably the perfect portrait lens there is for photography and even in video as well. And especially at 1.8, it's just such a sharp lens. Is the reason why it costs as much as it costs. It's very expensive. It's just so good. I mean, I don't use this lens as much because my style of shooting is running gun style. It's really guerrilla style. So for the most part, I usually have the 28-75, and it covers all grounds when it comes to when it comes to focal length. But when I do have enough time, for example, like my latest shoot, I shot this model at Swami's Beach. She was changing outfits, so I had probably 30 seconds. I had it attached to a gimbal, so I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna switch to the 55. I'm running out of lights and go for that 1.8 look. And so I did. I was able to switch it on time and rebalance my gimbal, and I'm glad I did, because the shots that I got with this lens is just so beautiful. And it's just, I mean, the untrained eye won't be able to tell the difference probably, but the ones that do know, like, oh my damn, that's a sharp look. So this is definitely my favorite lens. Like I said, I don't use it as much, but when I do use it, I love using it. It's like, I always remember, like, damn, this is why I got this lens, because it's so beautiful. So the 55 1.8 for sure. And for the next purchase that I made in 2020 is the DJI Ronin SC gimbal. I have a love-hate relationship with this lens. And the reason is because I think the SC is too small for my Sony camera. I come from the Zhiyun system. I use the Zhiyun Crane S2, which is a smaller gimbal than this, for my 6300 that I have on right now with the 35mm. It's just such a light camera, so it made sense why I had the Zhiyun Crane V2. But then once I upgraded to the full frame camera, it's a little heavier. But according to all the reviews, the SC is perfect for the Sony systems. But I sometimes catch myself having trouble with this gimbal. It's like I said, when it works perfectly fine. But sometimes I do have crazy jitters, and then trust me, I do the balancing, I do the motor calibrations. So like I said, it's a love-hate. Maybe I need to get to know the gimbal a little bit more with the settings and whatnot. But when it works really great. And it's the reason I like this a lot compared to my other gimbal is because you could, first of all, it has these locks. So I usually just put it on my backpack the way it is, and it works perfectly fine. But I could also, has a tripod as well. I could just attach the gimbal just like this, lock it in, and we're good to go, and I could turn it on. I'm not gonna turn it on right now because clearly it's not balanced. I just have it locked, but it's so easy to, if I need to do some photos after real quick, just get it out and then get to it. It's a good gimbal, especially if you have a smaller, like the A6000 series cameras, that'd be perfect for it. But I'm thinking about selling this and getting the Ronin S. I know the 2 version just ccame out, the Ronin SC2 and the Ronin S2. There's so many gimbals at this point, so you really can't go wrong with it. But I'm still debating on whether to sell this gimbal or not. But for the most part, my last shoot, it worked out really great. So I had no issues. So yeah. Another great purchase that I made this year was investing in audio gear. For the most part, I usually shoot travel stuff before I got into the corporate-ish, real money content. I would just shoot travel films for myself, and I would just use either an external mic or use stock audio that you can find online. But this year I had to really get to know the audio game. I had to do a lot of interview style this year, so I had to invest in audio gear. So one of the pieces of gear that I got was the Lavalier Go by Rode, and also the Wireless Go by Rode, which I'm actually using right now. And as you can see, the this is it right here. You can see it right here. I got 2 of these. This one's not even open yet. And yeah, I just stepped up my audio game. It comes off more professional. So these wireless Go's are really, really great, man. You can't go wrong for the price. I think they're like $300, which is fairly cheap. And it just works great. It beats using an external audio recorder, because I used to use the Zoom H1 for the longest, and I have to sync it in post, and then just dealing with so many files could be a little overwhelming. So I try to simplify my workload as much as I can. So I got the Wireless Go, and it goes straight into the camera, and it works pretty good in my opinion. So I mean, hopefully you could hear the audio really great, and I didn't mess up. And still sticking to audio gear, another purchase that I made this year was the Zoom H6. I actually split this with my boy Pete, since we both have a podcast called In the Frame Podcast. where we talk about tips and tricks in the freelance world, talk about gear and whatnot. So a little shameless plug right there, link in the description. But this mic is fire when it comes to recording anything. Honestly, you could. This is perfect for like weddings, ceremonies, speeches, interviews, podcasts. Like I said, we could connect up to 4 different mics. I think 5 too. I think that's what I heard. But I mean, we only use 2 mics for me and my co-host Pete. But I actually used this for the first time outside of the podcast world for a voiceover with a client, and it worked out really great. Literally just turned it on, leveled it, went like this next to her mouth, and I just monitored it with my headphones, and it worked out beautifully good. So it's like, it's a nice piece of tech. Very expensive though, so if you're more on the budget side, I would try to go for the Zoom H1. It's the one that I used in the very beginning of my freelance career, but then upgraded to this. On to more gear. This one's a little different. It's not just one piece of gear. This one has different pieces. If you could probably guess, it's small rig. I got myself a cage for my A7 III. I got myself a top handle and a wooden handle as well. This one's beautiful for the gimbal. I'm not the biggest fan of the pistol grip just going like this. I feel like I don't have too much balance, so I've been able to attach this right here, and it just works really great. And I could also attach either a monitor, a mic, a variety of things. This I like using for handheld look. If it's running, gunning in style with that, doesn't need stabilization. I'm able to attach a top handle right here for the low angles. And you could just mount a bunch of stuff. Like I used it actually last week for a client. I shot some like vlog style kind of work for a buddy of mine as well. And I literally just used this. I attached the light, attached the external mic, and the top handle, and it worked really great. And you just put it like this, and you have like great stabilization. So it worked out really good, man. So I do like using this for the handheld look. And small rig just does a great job. So, and also I can't forget, this isn't necessarily small rig, this is Manfrotto. These are like quick release plates that I could attach to a gimbal or a tripod. So it's really great. I've been using these for years since I first got my 6300. And it's just a great little system. Instead of unscrewing things left and right, especially if you're in a pinch, like at a wedding, you don't have time to do that. You need to like go super fast with it. So made my life easier by getting these. So I have one on the gimbal and I have one on the tripod. So it's really easy to take out, in and out. So it's like, these are a lifesaver as well. On to the next piece of gear is an external monitor. And this one's from Field World. It's not the greatest brand ever. I mean, I know most people like to go to like either the small HD and the Ninja Adamus, I believe. This one's more like a beginner. I've had this since like January, I think. And I never really used it as much unless it was like sitting on a tripod for interview style. But I recently started using this with my gimbal. At first I wasn't a big fan of it because the cord hits, so pretty much I have this, so pretend this is attached right here. And so I'm able to mount the monitor right here. And so at first I wasn't a huge fan of it, but it just took some time for to adjust. But now I actually love it. I used it the other day as well with the clients, and I feel like I was able to get better shots with the monitor. Before I was the kind of guy that's like, I need to look straight into like the client or the subject, wherever I'm shooting through my camera. But now I could actually look a little down, and I'm just comfortable enough to figure out my shots and my framing. So this actually worked out really great for me. And it's cool to like show your clients like, hey, check out the shot that I got. Instead of looking at this little itty bitty screen that's like low res, you can show them with this, and they're like, oh my God, this looks amazing. And like I get it all the time, and I always make sure to like show people, hey, look what I got from you. This is just like straight out the camera. It's not even color graded or edited. So this monitor for sure is a great purchase of mine. And my last piece of gear I purchased in 2020 that I absolutely freaking love is for sure my number one. I know I said top two with my camera, but this one for sure is number one, and that is the One Wheel. This thing is a freaking beast. It's this thing's freaking heavy too. But yeah, I love it, man, dude. It's I just started using it recently, like a couple days ago. This is probably like I had it sitting in my living room for like a month. It was just sitting in the box. I just didn't plan on opening it for some weird reason. But then I got motivated and started playing with this thing, and it's like my 5th day using it, and I freaking enjoy every second of it. These things are pretty fast. I have the pint version. There's a big brother version. It's called the XR, I believe. That one could go up to like, I want to say 19 miles an hour. This one goes 16 miles an hour. But I saw there's a couple of riders here in Oceanside. I live right by the beach, and I always see riders with these things. I'm like, dude, these things are pretty cool. And so I did some research. I'm like, once I saw them riding, I was like, man, it would be cool having a gimbal with it. And just think of all the shots that you could create with a one wheel and a gimbal. And so I did some research on YouTube and looked up videographers with the one wheel. And there's actually a few videographers using the one wheel, and you could get some amazing shots. I'm like, damn, like I never thought of this. And so I want to do that. And so I freaking pulled the trigger and I got myself a one wheel. These things are not cheap. They're actually very expensive. And I got the cheaper version, and it's still pretty expensive. The XR costs about like $1,800. I just couldn't justify spending that much money on a one wheel. So I got the big brother version. But these things are a beast, man. Like this thing is so cool. Like even if I'm editing all day, if I'm not shooting, I'm editing all day on my computer, and when I need some like fresh air, I'm pretty lazy, so I hate just walking. Like my girlfriend Kristen always wants to go for a beach walk, and I'm like, dude, I'm not about that. I don't want to walk. I hate walking. So now like I'm always outside using the one wheel. If I go for a coffee run, I just go for a coffee run down the street, and I use my one wheel if I want to go down the strand on the beach in Oceanside. I'm always doing that too now. So it's like, it's a good way to like step aside, step out of the crib, stop looking at a computer monitor, and just enjoy the outdoors. So that's it. Those are my top 10 purchases of 2020. I know some of you viewers are gonna be like, God, now, dude, like that is a lot of money. That's probably like, I've never sat down and did the calculations, but it's a lot of money. And you're like, man, I wish I could afford something like this. Like, dude, like I used to be that person where I watch Gear Talk and like, oh, I got this, I got this, I got that. And it's not that they're not trying to stun, they're just saying what they got. And I used to like, man, like how can they afford something like that? I used to be that guy, and I still kind of am that guy. So but like if you just work hard on what you're doing, I mean, first of all, you got to find something that you love doing. And like for me, it's videography. I just kept doing it. I did a lot of free work just to network, and I still do some free work depending on the gig, if it's something I really want to do. But I landed a lot of opportunities. I met the right people. And so, yeah, I was able to make some pretty good bread, and I'm not a spender anyways. I never spend money on anything. I have like the same 4 joggers and 5 black tees. Like I don't own much. I'm kind of a minimalist, if you want to say, except for like the camera gear. But other than that, like you just got to work hard for it, man. Like it's definitely doable. I used to think that I couldn't afford any of the crap I have right now, but I can now. So it's definitely doable. We just got to work hard, man. So, all right, guys, that is it for now. If you guys found any kind of value or a little entertainment, do me a favor and like the video, maybe comment, subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed. I can't believe I am that guy now, asking for likes and comments, but hey, it's the only way to grow organically if you don't do it. But yeah, do me a favor and like it. I'm gonna try to post more of these videos, kind of like sitting down, talking to the camera style, in between travel films. I know I've been dead for the last year. It's just so hard to create these travel films, and I've been really slammed with client work, which is a freaking blessing. So there's zero excuse on that. But I'm going to pump out more content for you guys. I know I've been dead, so I need to stop repeating myself. I need to get better in this YouTube thing. But yeah, I'm out of here. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.